If you're practicing with me live, welcome, welcome. It's a beautiful day here in early September. I'm so excited that it was a little bit cooler today, and that gives everyone a lot to celebrate. If you're watching it later, then hopefully this is at a time that's convenient for you, and I'm always happy to allow these recordings to be shared and used whenever you like. So welcome to practice. We are going to begin restorative this evening, lying down on the mat, and we're going to be propping the legs up on our bolster. So what I have here are two tall blocks, just elevating this bolster support a little bit higher. I'm going to bring my calves up on here. I'm going to scoot my backside as close to that support as I can. And then what I might suggest is to bring a blanket, a folded blanket underneath your head. Now, when I say under the head, I'm not bringing it under my shoulders. I'm just bringing it right behind the head. And the way I have my this is my yoga blanket, so it's in what's called a quarter fold. So it's about this shape and size. And I'm just going to bring that underneath my head. So a lot of it is going to be off of my body and up beyond my head. But you're just going to, if you have that in place, you can just center the back of your head right on the edge of that blanket. And then, so just settle your back down, make sure that that's comfortable, make sure your legs are comfy. If you don't have the blocks, you can just bring the bolster or some kind of support under your knees. It'll be a similar type of shape. But as far as the blanket underneath the head, we can create what I like to call a head cradle. So with the blanket underneath, take your hands to the outermost corners, and then we'll just take our hands and we're going to start to tightly roll the corners up. So you're going to create a really tight little roll starting with the corner of each side until you roll that blanket up as tight as you can all the way up to your head. Sorry, I should have made the point. You want to roll it under, not up. So you're rolling the corners under until the blanket roll comes right up to your head, and the way that's going to end up is it's going to be right behind the ears, and you're going to feel a sensation almost as if you had a giant pair of hands behind your head, and those hands are cradling your head. So it's just a sensation of a cradle for your head. It's not necessary. You don't have to do this. All of these are just little extras to bring you into a state of relaxation, but it's kind of nice. I love the head cradle and I find it very soothing. So if you're in your initial position, I'm actually going to sit up. So you go ahead and stay where you are, because I'm going to sit up and read something to you about restorative yoga. So it's been a while since I brought some of this information out, and I just wanted to have it in front of me so I could share with you. So just to start here, go ahead and relax your body down. Feel the heaviness of your body as it starts to sink down and relax into the mat. Feel the supports underneath your legs. Feel the cradling sensation under your head. And begin to quiet your mind. Breathing in and out. notice the breath and the sensation of the breath. If thoughts or thought patterns want to enter your mind, don't chastise yourself, don't feel bad that this happens, but simply acknowledge the thoughts and then allow them to blow away like a puff of cloud. Allow yourself to drop into a sacred space, a space where you don't have to be anywhere else or do anything else, but simply be. In any style of yoga, part of the practice is letting go of the ego, and restorative practice is no different. Yoga teaches patience, devotion, and faith. And when you apply those teachings both on and beyond the mat, your mind is better able to adjust to the stresses of everyday life. And it's brought into harmony with your body. In restorative yoga, the body and mind are brought into balance. They begin to communicate, to talk to each other. When you practice restorative yoga, you enter a deep state of relaxation. It is here that you let go of those deep holding patterns in your body and find a state of balance that will allow your body to self-heal. Look at this as if you were a flower. You start with good soil, which is your foundation. You add sunshine and water, and the flower opens into a beautiful bloom. You too are like a flower, and you need the right environment to become the best version of yourself. Restorative yoga is that environment. So drop your shoulders down. Relax your body a little fuller. Allow yourself to drop into the depths of your breath and notice each sensation that is occurring throughout your cells, your internal organs, your skin. Feel your whole self in this moment. We'll stay here about 4 or 5 more breaths. We're in no hurry to move. In fact, we want to relish every single moment of this practice. Draw it in fully. Expanding, and then allow it to release all the way out. Very nice. All right, start to bring your knees into your chest. Draw your knees inward. Take your arms and wrap your arms around your knees. Hug your knees in. On your next breath in, perhaps lift your head up, tuck it in towards your knees, roll up into a little ball, and then exhale all the way out. Bring your feet back down on the mat, and then we'll just gently roll to one side or sit up as we take a minute and set up for our next posture. So one of the things to note about a restorative practice is that it takes us a few minutes to get into each pose. And that's not because the poses are difficult. It's because we really want to create the maximum amount of support. The key is to really take your time with the setup, not be in a hurry, not be in a rush. That way we don't have anything else we have to worry about once we're settling in. So our next posture is going to be a forward folding posture. We're going to use the bolster, or you could use whatever pillows or cushions you might have. You're going to have a bolster, and what I'm going to suggest is to take the blanket as well. Now for some of us it may feel fine to have maybe just a bolster and maybe just a blanket. For others, if forward folding creates any kind of extra strain, you might want to build that support up a little higher. So you could always take a block and lay that on top of the bolster, but we want to have the bolster right on top of our legs. Legs are about hip distance, so they're roughly just coming right straight out from the hip points. And then you're going to have a place where you can fold forward and just release the forehead down. So, take your time, make sure that you have a place that feels comfortable. Once you're in that place, make sure your hips are nice and square. And then you're just going to round your back and bring it forward so that your forehead can come all the way down. Now I'm going to press that blanket a little bit forward so that my nose doesn't get squished by the blanket and I can still breathe easily. But right between the eyebrows should be resting comfortably on a supported area. And then you're just going to take your arms around the bolster or whatever support you have on your lap. Bring your hands around, draw them forward slightly without any strain on your back or without reaching too far. You just want to kind of pull that bolster in like you're hugging it into your belly. Your back round, let your neck fall forward, let your forehead rest comfortably. And if you wish, now you can just let your hands drop down to the side. They can come down on either side of your legs. This is a restorative forward fold, sometimes known as caterpillar pose. Often adopt some of the yin names for these poses in restorative practice. Now begin to deeply allow your breath to travel up and down your back. Soften your back as it rolls up and forward. The grounded nature of your legs and seat. And then try to consciously let go of any muscular engagement in the body. So what we're striving for in restorative practice is to not actively take a shape, but allow the shape to become us. of these supports that we have to help us, the bolsters, the blankets, all of these different objects that we use are to create the ultimate security for the body. So that the body doesn't have to work to hold itself. Posture, we have the ground and the earth underneath our legs. We have a firm but soft support between our head and the tops of our legs. This allows us to completely let go. So soften your shoulders. Soften your feet. Feel the breath moving evenly and smoothly up and down your back. Slowly allow your weight to simply drop toward the earth. Each time we change position, reconnect with your breath. Notice how your breath is carrying all kinds of signals throughout your body. Offering the ability to relax and release. Drop down a little more heavily. Let the weight of your body sink further. Stay here probably 4 or 5 more breaths. Let your elbows drop down. Continue to let the weight fall forward and down. Simply sinking into the supports that we have in place. One more breath here. All the way up the spine. Imagine it traveling in and around each of your vertebrae. Rising up and over your head and then down, down toward the front and all the way out. On your next next breath in, slowly, very slowly, begin to bring your head off of the blanket support. And think about lifting one vertebra at a time, edging oh so slowly back up. You can keep your eyes closed if you wish, or open them. Either way, come all the way back to a seated position. All right. So, we are going to move now into our next position is going to be a hip opener. And this is a restorative version of bound ankle pose or Baddha Konasana. So I'm going to take the two blocks that I have and I'm going to create a support for the bolster to come back on those blocks. I'm going to turn it this way. If you don't have blocks with you, if you just want to try your best to create something that will angle up your support. If you need to lay down, what you can do, if you need to lay the bolster or your pillow down, what you can do is just lay it down, and then with your blanket or with a series of pillows, you could create something like this. So as long as you can find a way to maybe angle yourself, it should be fine. But if you have blocks, this is really handy to make your little incline, because it's usually pretty sturdy, which is nice. So we are going to have to use at least one blanket, however, in another place. So what I'm going to ask is that you take a yoga blanket like so, or one that's in this shape, and we're going to do what's called a triple fold. So this is a quarter fold of your blanket, and with it laying long ways, I'm going to fold it long ways once in the middle, and then again in the middle. So I'm creating a long, thin strip of the blanket. It's about 6 inches wide or something like that. All right, so to start out, I'm going to set my seat right in front of this support. So eventually I'm going to be laying all the way back. But before I lay back, I'm going to bring my feet together just as we would in any bound ankle, Baddha Konasana. So bringing the soles of the feet together, I'm going to take that long strip of a blanket. I'm going to lay it right on top of my feet, so it's equally on equal sides. Then I'm going to take my hands, reach under my calves, and pull the ends of the blanket underneath my calves and back toward the middle. So hopefully you can see what I've done here. I'm creating the actual binding for the bound ankle pose, okay? So what this does, when you pull the blanket up and under, and that's where a blanket for some reason works really nice, it just kind of holds its shape, which is great for the pose. So once you have the feet in place, you've got your support to lay back on. I'm going to come back like so. Now, option here, again, you could always bring a pillow underneath the head if you want to bring the head up a little bit higher. Another option, if you have a couple of throw pillows, is to bring them on either side, and you can support underneath your thighs. So sometimes this just helps take a little bit of the intensity off of the hip opening, so you have a little soft landing place for the thighs. So there's lots of options. That is the beautiful thing about restorative, is that it's just all about creating this custom shape that works for your body. And that's why I offer lots of options, and we take our time making sure that we get to the right spot. All right, so I'm going to lay back here. And just make sure your back feels supported, feels nice. We're going to just let the arms come down off the side. They can come into a T if you like, or they can rest on your belly. The arms really don't come into play that much here. But you just want to feel a nice hip opening. So that one of the other keys about restorative practice is that we're not trying to go to the nth degree, right? We're trying to get to a place where we feel really comfortable and at ease, because the time that we settle into the posture is where the real benefit of this practice comes into play. So if you bring it, you're not supposed to feel any sort of intensity, certainly not any pain. You want to feel as if you're simply at ease and supported in every way. So laying back on this bolster, maybe close your eyes again. First, noticing the soles of your feet, how they are nicely touching each other, connecting the two sides of your body. Feeling your hips get a nice gentle opening as the knees widen and as gravity very gently opens and draws your knees down. Come back to the breath. The awareness of breath, which is the absolute key to each of these postures, because the breath signals to the body that all is well and it can relax and release. Restorative practice just allows us to simply relish the idea of doing less. Each day we are so pressed, so driven to do more. Restorative yoga asks us to do less. To pull back. To find a true sense of ease. To disengage. Soften your body. Notice any areas of activity or tension, any place where you are gripping or holding. Mindfully offer yourself the ability to let go. Supported. You don't have to do anything except relish the peace of your breath. Breathe a little deeper, a little slower, and a little softer. thoughts that come into your mind, thoughts about the practice, thoughts about your day. Just gently blow them away with your next round of breath. Allow them to dissipate, to become transparent. This moment is for simply allowing yourself the time for stillness. Stay here a couple of more minutes. So breathe into your hips, into your lower belly. Relax and soften your knees. Feel as if you are floating. More breaths right here. Make them soft and slow. More breath. Fill your body, feel the peace that is starting to take over, and then exhale it out. Beautiful. Slowly bring your hands beside your hips. Begin to lift yourself up off of the bolster. Bring yourself back up to a seated position. Knees together, we'll release the blanket. Just take that off to the side. Go ahead and just sit up. Open your feet about hip distance apart with bent knees. And we're just going to gently take a couple of windshield wiper motions here with the hips. Just feeling a little circulation come back. Back and forth. A couple more times. And come back to center. All right, so we're going to come into a little spinal twist for our next posture. We're just going to bring a nice bolster down the front of the mat. If you like, you can bring one block, I'm just going to say, right underneath. Just gives it a little bit of a lift. You don't really have to though. Sometimes I do this without it. So if you don't have blocks, it's fine. You can just bring it down. So what we're going to do is bring that bolster right up to the side of our hip. So our legs are going to be stacked on top of each other to the side. Now here's where it's nice sometimes to take a throw pillow and bring it in between the knees. But before you lay all the way down, bring that into the side, turn and face the bolster, and then just start to bring your body belly down on top of that bolster. So my legs are just kind of curled up, knees are bent. I've got that sweet little pillow in between so my knees don't poke into each other, and you feel the sense of your support and that pillow all the way around. And I'm just going to hug this bolster in and lay yourself down. Now if this feels like too much, again, you can always build up the bolster. You can bring something underneath so you're laying up a little bit more, but if it feels okay, just let your belly come right down on that bolster. And you're just going to hug that bolster like it's a friend. So you should feel a little spinal twist, a gentle spinal twist from the mid part of the back on down. If this feels too intense, you can lessen the bend in your knees and bring your knees farther away from your head. So you've always got that option to kind of help out. You can also separate the legs a little bit. They don't have to be completely stacked. So take your time, settle in, make sure that this feels comfortable and soft and supported. As you're there, come back to your breath. Bring your mindful awareness back to the breath. And we won't stay on this side quite so long as we did the others because we want to change sides here in just a few minutes. But I want you to breathe into your mid and lower back. Soften your shoulders down. Feel yourself curling up to the bolster again, like it's an old friend, or like, it's like one of those stuffed animals that you used to hug when you were a kid. At least I did. I always had my favorite teddy bears and stuffed animals that I would hold on to. You should feel 100% secure and soft and yielding. This allows you to completely let go, to experience the joy of doing less. More breaths on this side. breath, slide your hands backwards so that you can press down into your palms. Lift yourself up. And you can just leave that bolster where it is. You can leave the pillow between your knees. And we'll just simply swap around and go for the other side. So remember, push that bolster right up against to your hip. Turn to face the bolster so your belly down, and then just begin to drape your belly a little at a time. Make sure that that's comfortable on your back, that you're not feeling any pinches or twisting. It's creating discomfort. And then you can just turn your head towards your knees. Let your body relax down once again. Remember that each time we change position, we want to mindfully come back to the breath. It's very easy to let your mind kick into gear each time. It wants to be busy. It wants to do. Part of the beauty of restorative yoga is training the mind to be still. Finding peace and balance in the body allows your mind to be still. Once again, from my book that I brought today, I'll share another passage. We often forget that sometimes we need to just take time to relax. We are not human doings, we are human beings. And if you think there's no way that you can relax, then you need restorative yoga even more than you know. As with meditation practice, it takes time to train the mind to find quiet. In fact, some people find the practice of restorative yoga to be the most difficult of all yoga practices because it's so hard to be still. Be prepared that when the mind starts to ramble, this is the moment where you need to call upon yourself to find stillness. This is what practicing yoga is all about. So we'll stay here a couple of more minutes. Relax your shoulders. Let go of any tension in your back or hips. Let your legs be heavy. And ease yourself into stillness. Let's take 3 more breaths on this side. last breath in, slide your hands backwards. Inhale, press down into your palms, lift yourself up. And I'll pull myself back around to the front. And we have one more posture. So, to finish practice this evening, we're going to create a restorative fish pose that's pretty nice. I'm going to simply take the long bolster this time. I'm going to lay it down the mat. I'm going to get my blanket. And with my blanket, I'm going to just build a little extra support. So I'm going to take mine something like this. It's probably 4 inches tall. So because I have a nice fern bolster, you're gonna want to make it about half the height of your big bolster. So it just creates a little bit of a slope. Let me show you where we're going with this. So I'm going to sit up on the blanket. And then I'm going to have the bolster coming right into the low back. I'm going to bring my legs all the way down. Option here to take a second blanket in a quarter fold. Bring it all the way over my legs. And then I'm going to tuck that blanket in all the way down to my feet. So the idea with the tucking and the things that we're doing with the blanket is it creates a feeling of security. The body wants to feel secure. When we feel secure, when our mind believes that we are secure, it is free to let go of the gripping and the holding, and it's just kind of magical. So that's one reason I like the blanket around the legs. It really helps with that. Then I'm going to lay all the way down. I'm going to let my chest come right on top of that bolster, and my head is still on top of the support as well. So my head and my chest are roughly the same height. My chest is rising a little bit more, obviously. And then I'm going to bring my arms all the way out into a T, where my shoulders can fall off the edges of the bolster. They're reaching down toward the earth. I'm very open-hearted in this posture. My chest is open, my heart is open. But my body is secure. To your breath. Feel the breath as it moves into your chest, opening and expanding and lifting up. Exhale and relax and release everything down into the earth. Security of your body as we've created these beautiful supports. And let go of any need to hold, any need to engage your muscles in any way. Feel the openness your heart and your neck and your throat. Breath moving freely, beautifully. Begin to feel the stillness inside, deep inside yourself. surrender to this stillness. Surrender to the ease. And tap into the beauty of doing less. Come to a point of total relaxation. See if you can let go a little further. Let's do 5 more breaths here.
breath. Deeply bring your inhalation into your heart. Feel it rise and lift with newfound positivity and grace. Exhale out all that does not serve. Begin to bring your arms in towards your body. Bring your arms around your chest, wrap them around your chest. Reach your fingers back towards your shoulder blades. Give yourself a hug. Begin to bend your knees. Help yourself up. Seated position to close our practice this evening. Together, let's lift our arms up, reach them overhead. Inhale deeply. Exhale, bring that sense of peace and calm in your space right back into your heart. Have peace of mind and peace of heart throughout the rest of your evening. Thank you so much for practicing with me this evening. Om Shanti and Namaste.